With my college football schedule preview and point spread predicting video today. I'll be doing the Washington Huskies. So Washington's non-conference schedule is the same as it was last year. They get to play two little teams and their in-state rival Washington State. So their games against Colorado State and UC Davis, I would say, are both guaranteed wins for Washington. And I think it's a good thing that Washington gets their first bye week before the Washington State game because it is going to be a tough road game for Washington. But I would like Washington's chances of winning this one because the game was very close last year, even though Washington State beat them. And Washington State's quarterback, John Mateer, had a big game in that one. And now with Washington State having a new quarterback and a new coaching staff, Washington will have a good chance of winning that game. And Washington has five different conference opponents than last year. So last year they played Northwestern, Iowa, Indiana, USC, and Penn State. And instead, this year they will play Ohio State, Maryland, Illinois, Wisconsin, and Purdue. And switching up Penn State with Ohio State won't help Washington because of Ohio State is the one game on Washington's schedule that I say they have a 0% chance of winning. And getting to play Illinois this year is probably easier than playing Indiana last year. But playing Indiana again this year probably wouldn't have been any tougher than playing Illinois is going to be. And getting to play Maryland kind of makes up for not getting to play at Northwestern, but Maryland did get one good wide receiver from Oklahoma, Jalil Farouk, who was one of their top pass catchers in 2023. Speedy wide receiver. But this is a game that Washington should win. And it is good that Washington gets to play Purdue because while there are no games in the conference that I would say Washington has 100% chance of winning, Purdue would be the most likely conference win for Washington. But if I was a Washington fan, I would be glad also that they're getting to play Wisconsin this year, and they don't have to play USC again this year because while both Wisconsin and USC are programs that are moving in the wrong direction, Wisconsin seems to be moving even more in the wrong direction. And it's okay that Washington gets their second bye week in between Illinois and Wisconsin, but I think it would have been better for them to have had it in between Michigan and Illinois, which is going to be the toughest two in a row on this schedule. Michigan, I think, is going to have a better defense and better lines of scrimmage than Washington will. And Illinois did lose one of their good running backs in the spring transfer portal. McCray is his name, and Illinois probably won't have a running back as good as Washington's Jonah Coleman, who Washington will probably lean on the most offensively this season. But Illinois, I think, is in better shape on the offensive line and uh, defensively than Washington. And uh, Washington lost two really good linebackers, Carson Bruner and Alfonso Tupatala, who were probably their two best defensive players. And Rutgers and UCLA are games that I think Washington will split. Rutgers is probably a little bit better than Washington. And UCLA, now that they got Nico, I did leave you at quarterback. That probably puts them about even with Washington. And Oregon is about as close to a guaranteed loss for Washington as it gets. The only reason I don't say it's a guaranteed loss is because Oregon has to replace a lot on both the lines of scrimmage. But this is not a really tough schedule. It's easy enough to where Washington shouldn't really have a problem getting back to a bowl game. So now for the point spread prediction. Games in the green are games where I think Washington will be favored to win by a blowout, 20 or more points, and there's two of those, Colorado State and UC Davis. Games in the blue are games where I think they'll be favored to win by double digits, 10 to 19 points, and there's one of those, Purdue games in the pinker games where I think they'll be favored to win by about a field goal, 1 to 5 points, and there's three of those, Maryland, Rutgers, and UCLA. Games in the gray are games where I think Washington will be about a field goal underdog, 1 to 5 points, and there's two of those, Washington State and Wisconsin. Games in the yellow are games where I think Washington will be about a touchdown underdog at 6 to 9 points, and there's one of those, Illinois. Games in the orange are games where I think Washington will be a double digit underdog, 10 to 19 points, and there's three of those, Ohio State, Michigan, and Oregon. So Colorado State, I think Washington will be favored by about three touchdowns in it because Colorado State is not a terrible group of five team. And UC Davis, because they're an FCS team, I think Washington will be favored by about 40 points against them. And Maryland, I think Washington will be favored by 4 or 5 points. And if that wasn't on the road, that would be a purple game, meaning Washington would be about a touchdown favorite. And Rutgers, that's just in the pink because it's at home. It'd be a gray game on the road, and Washington will probably just be favored by like a point in it. And UCLA, Washington, I'll say, will be favored by a point or two in it. And Purdue, I think Washington will be favored by about 10 points in that one. And Washington State would be in the pink if it was at home, but on the road, I think Washington State will be favored by a point or two over Washington. And Ohio State, I think, will be favored by about 17 points over Washington. And Michigan, I think the spread will be about 10 points, but that would be in the yellow if it was a home game. And Illinois, I'll say, will be a 6 point favorite over Washington. And Wisconsin would be in the pink at home, but on the road, I'll say they'll be favored by a point or two over Washington. And Oregon, I think, will be favored by a couple of touchdowns, maybe 14 points against Washington. So that will be it with this video. Please subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll be back soon.